Welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine. It is time for the official first video in my Sketch With Me series. I have picked a 2-page layout sketch that was from our Creative Memories Worldwide Virtual Crop from September of 2021. This was sketch number 2. If you want to look it up on our Creative Memories blog, you can. And I've gone through and done figured out my measurements, figured out how we're going to be cutting these things, and I'm excited to give it a try. For this layout, you are going to need your largest and smallest circle from your custom cutting system, and you are going to need your red and green blades as well with it. You are going to need your tearing tool if you have one. This was part of a promotion that Creative Memories did, and you can either use the tearing tool or you can even just get a straight ruler if you want, but we are going to be tearing some paper for this layout. And I also am going to be using my border maker system with my barbed wire chain border. This is one of the chain ones, the ones that come away from the paper. So you can substitute in pretty much any of the chains and any pages really that you want to use. I am going to be using the wide open pages with this, and I thought the barbed wire chain would work really nicely with it. And then I also did pull a couple of our laser cut borders as well. And you will need your 13 by 13 cutting mat and your 12-inch trimmer with your straight blade, and we might even pull out the decal blade. We will see when we get to that point. So you're going to need 2 designer sheets for the base, and I've picked out the horse and cow pages to use for my base. I just thought they were kind of fun. It has this rope look on the back of it. And I also have picked the bandana looking page, which has stripes on the back. I've grabbed a sheet of our Hot Fudge cardstock, and I picked this floral and leaf page, the rust colored one with kind of the mustardy background on it. So with all that said, let's go ahead and do our tearing first. I'm going to pull out my 13 by 13 cutting mat. And let me get my little grippy thing here so that way my mat doesn't go sliding around everywhere. On our designer sheet, we're going to use our 13 by 13 mat to mark our 5-inch segments just on the 2 opposite corners. And this is where we're going to get our marks to use our tearing tool. We're just going to put slight marks because we're going to leave this on here as we're tearing, and that'll actually help guide us with our tears as well. So I put 4 light marks. I'm going to go ahead and lay my tearing tool down from the 5 to the 5 here, and kind of bend your paper up a little bit and tear. Gotta hold it in place good here. All right. There we go. So there's our first triangle. And then we're going to take it from that 5-inch mark down to the next 5-inch mark down here. So this is actually going to give us a 7-inch triangle. And I'll show you where we're going to use these on our page. Bear with me here. It's kind of fun to tear them. Here we go. Here we're going to go from our 5 to 5 again. And if I'm going to actually be right-handed today, so I'm going to go from my 5 to 5, but I'm going to actually go ahead and line it up again because it does help not only to have the marks, but also to have the tearing tool. Whoops, I need to turn over. I was using my opposite side of my tearing tool, and I want to make sure it's cohesive. Heaven forbid I don't have my symmetry going on. Okay, so here's the 5 to 5 again. Whoops, it's folded up a little. It was made it a little bit easier to tear. There we go. And now take from the 5 down to this other 5. Whoops. Actually, here we go. We lined up, I think so. Okay, here goes nothing. There we go. Whew. It's always nice when it works out. So now we have this rectangle that we are going to cut at 1.5 inches using our deco blade. I think the deco blade would look great because it'll kind of give it that also that torn look. Or if you want, you can just take it on here, mark it 1.5 inches, and use your tearing tool to tear it as well. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. Or if you don't want to tear it again or use your deco blade, just go ahead and use your straight blade. Just mark it at 1.5 inches, and the rest of it basically is 8 inches. So you see we have 10 here, or is it 9.5? What did I mark it? About 8 inches on, was what I guesstimated anyways. Here we go. I'm going to just go ahead and tear it. Because why not? I think it'll look strange to have it just with this. I mean, it'll look fine in the album to have a straight edge, but I just think this kind of continues the look a little bit more. Up to you. There's always options. And you know I'm always about sharing extra options. And if you have another idea, put it in the comments. I'm always open to hearing other ideas as well. Okay, so what are we going to do next? Let's go ahead and punch some borders. Where is my tray? Is here to hold my paper. And I am apparently going to be punching. Actually, all right, I know. I ripped right-handed, but I'm going to be punching left-handed. You all know I am a bit ambidextrous. And this just feels better for me today. I am kind of flowing with the vines here. And again, we've got the barbed wire. To use your border maker, there's a little tray underneath. You line up your paper, and then you line up the notches. And we are going to punch 3 of these. And I forgot to pull out my punching mat, but that's okay. Let me grab my scissors. I have just a little point that I must have not lined up exactly right, but that's what our scissors can fix. Okay, our punching is done. I am going to remove my paper from my tray here, set that aside. I've grabbed a baggie. Oops. Okay, grabbed a baggie for my punch pieces because I will see if there's enough scraps to do a card. And I did forget to get out my mat, so we're just going to work with it here. Let's see if I can squeeze this underneath my mat. Get these all slid off here. Oops. All right, so our pieces are contained, and we have these two little strips. I don't know how we didn't wind up with 3, but that's okay. So I'm gonna just start a pile somewhere. I guess I'll just start it to my left here. Okay, next we need to grab our trimmer because we are gonna trim some mats for our page. And I need to move some of this other out of the way because we do need our mat coming up as well. We are going to cut at 4 inches twice. Save this for some of our custom cutting system pieces. I'm going to go ahead and stack our 2 pieces of cardstock, and I'm going to cut them in half at 6 inches. I just like the slightly larger mats. I like printing, you know, the 4x6 pictures. And I know by cutting the 4x6 mats, I'll just be doing a little bit of trimming on my photos. Okay, so do we have any other cuts we need to make? I don't think so. So go ahead and put your trimmers away. And we are now going to grab our strip of cardstock. Grab your largest custom cutting system circle. And we are going to cut twice on the inside with our green blade. So we're going to cut twice on the inside with our green blade. There we go. And then we are going to, well, I'm going to grab my scissors because I had one part didn't cooperate with me. And that's what scissors are for, is to help when things like this happen. And it's okay because one of our circles we're going to tuck under our torn piece anyways. But I really honestly can't really tell where that messed up. And now we're gonna grab our sheet of designer paper that we had taken our border from, and we are going to also do one more with the green blade on the inside track of the largest circle. And we're also going to take our smallest circle and our red blade, and we're going to cut outside of the small circle. So that's our largest circle. So hey, we do have a few pieces that we can use up for a card or two there. I think that's one of my favorite pages from the Wide Open Places paper pack. I just really like this I don't know what it is about this rust color. It's just kind of bright and cheery. Set your circle aside now. Let me double check my sheet and make sure we have everything cut. And we do, so you can go ahead and move your cutting mat over. I'm going to grab the designer sheet of paper that we're going to use for the left side of our layout. And we will begin to assemble our pages now. For the top left, we're going to use one of our torn triangles. It's the larger triangle on the top left and the smaller one on the bottom right. And then we also are going to place our larger piece from our, and it looks like it's supposed to go this direction. I guess it needs to go down a little bit so it doesn't overlap. There you go. So it doesn't overlap our other triangles here. We do have our largest circle that's going to go here to hold a photo. And what I'll do again is I just won't put a little adhesive behind this top point so I can get my picture on to my circle here. And it actually has a spot where it looks like you want to put a second photo on this other circle. So you kind of are going to have your circles layered. So I'll be very careful when I put those down, and we'll make sure not to put adhesive either under here or under here so that way I can get my photos onto the layout later. And then it looks like we put in some of our border pieces that we punched. And in fact, we're going to need to trim those down a little bit. I think let's get our, okay, I'm going to leave the triangles loose, but I'm going to adhere this guy because it seems like everything centers around this piece here. So I'm putting my finger so I remember not to put adhesive up at that very top part of my rectangle, so that way I'm not hitting my circles and I can get those under nicely. And there we go. Okay, so that's our first piece down. And then this I think is going to go underneath. So I'm going to take my scissors and just trim it, I think right in between here. And I think I'm going to wind up using both sides of the print because they have 3 of these together and they almost kind of have it in a wave pattern. And you can definitely play around with your border maker and do it that way if that's what you want. Cut this one here. Oh, looks like we're just doing 2, 2, and 2. And then, but I think I'm going to stagger them. So let's see here. So it's gonna go right around here, coming through where our upper one arcs down, but not really with the lower one. So I need to go up just a little bit higher. Okay. Repositionable tape and my parchment board. If you haven't seen my parchment board before, it's a piece of cardboard with electrical tape holding the parchment in place. It's one of the few things that will stick to parchment, and it's just so handy. If you use staples, your repositionable tape will eventually stick to the staples and you'll wind up with a little bit of a mess. So I'm lifting up my edge of my torn rectangle here. I'm gonna line up my first border here, and I can see where I've gotten a little bit of repositionable tape on my paper, but I'm not going to worry about that right now because I will just take my finger and rub that off in a minute. I'm going to put this one under just a little bit more so it'll kind of have more of a staggered look to it. Here we go. And then then finally this third piece here. I feel like I need to move this middle one up a little. Well, no, actually that looks placed. I think I like it. Okay, I'm just going to go with it. I'm okay with it. So just take your finger. If you have any repositionable tape that's showing, it kind of shines a little bit, just take your finger, rub it off. It leaves you with a little bit of a cleaner look at the end. And now we can go ahead and place our larger triangle in the corner. I'm just going to use my regular tape runner for that. Here we go. And you do want it overlapping your borders just a little bit. There's that. Well, I grabbed the repositionable tape runner. It really doesn't matter. You can use the regular one or the repositionable. Some people just use repositionable for everything, and that works too. I tend to use the permanent on some of the larger pieces, but use what works for you. Okay, so let's get this circle put right about here. I've got, what, about a ½ inch from the triangle up here. Not too shabby. And then I need to be careful with my tape again where my fingers are. So I'm just gonna go across this way so that way I can get my photos in later. There we go. And now we need 2 of our mats that we cut from our cardstock. And those are going to go on our ripped page. If you want to make your mats a little bit smaller, go for it. Like I said, like the 4x6, and I can still stagger them. I just don't have the little strip in between showing the red designer paper. And that's okay. I'm okay with that because I really want my pictures to be more of the main focus. And I love the look of the using the tearing tool on the end there. Oops, let me put this up just a hair. And I'm going to go ahead and place that down. There we go. So we have our borders down. We have our photo mats. These are photo mats as well. We have our decorative corners with our triangle with that nice bandana-y look. Our page is really pretty. It really pops with the little touches of the reds and the orange, and even the mustard shows up nicely. Not too shabby. Let's get the right side of our page going. On this right side, we are going to put our small triangle towards the top and the larger one towards the bottom. And then we have the remaining 1.5 inch piece of our torn paper that I will line up when it's time to line it up with the other side of the page. But first I want to get some of these other things placed. And it looks like our border is going to run through behind this piece and probably through to our triangle, and then we're going to put these on top. So let me grab out my other 2 borders here, and it looks like, again, that they want you to have 3 flowing, so I can see where I'm going to need to cut my borders again just a little bit, probably this part that's going to hide behind the triangle. Let's see. So right in here, because that's also going to run behind the circles. And we're going to try for right here. And then this is going to be our mustard side, and we can just easily piece those together with the repositionable tape. This is going to go on top of that, and so it's actually just as well we can even scoot everything over. You know, we have 1.5 inches to play with. And then our photo mats are going to go to, okay, this is really, okay, this borders actually are on top of here. I just had to look at the drawing again here. So this is on top, and they run under the circles, and this, our one photo mat is up here. Looks like I have a crease in my cardstock, which is okay. So one of the photo mats is up here, kind of layered on top of this piece as well. And the other one is kind of peeking out from behind our circles. So sort of here. Let's move this up a little and over a little, since I also made these a little bit larger. We have our large triangle down here. This is a lot of layering. So it's going to be hard to get this one put together nicely, but we'll get it done. It'll be okay. I think we're going to angle that down just a little bit more. Wonder how this would look this way instead, because they also do have a space here for probably either a mat or a journal box. Okay, we'll just go ahead and go for it. And let me go ahead and get this piece down first, and I need to line it up with my opposite page. So let me pull that out real quick. Oops, scoot this over if I can. It's hard to pick it up with all the loose pieces on it. Here we go. So this is kind of gonna piece together here. Well, that didn't help me any. All right, let's get the tape on, and then I'll do that again. I've got too many things on my table and not enough space in the camera for y'all. Here we go. And that's actually kind of nice that we did use the tearing tool, because it's kind of coming together almost like a puzzle, where the edges are going right in to match up nicely. And so let's go ahead and get our top triangle and our top mat put down. So remember, this was the smaller triangle, the 5-inch or so triangle. Here we go. And then our mat is going to overlap here a little bit, but not really overlapping the triangle. So I'm going to kind of line it up with the top of the page a bit. Here we go. Nice. And then we need to place our second mat, because it also looks like the borders are kind of running almost underneath them just a little bit. Let's see how our, get those out of the way, pull these out of the way, check our lower triangle here. I'm going to go ahead and place the lower triangle. I'm going to leave this edge without a whole lot of tape as well, to help me out when it's time to get the placements done. Here we go. So now putting this in here just so the corner's under, because remember we're also going to have the circles in this area as well. But you want to leave space so that way you can have a little bit of space for journaling if you wish to put journaling in here. You can cut a small, I'm guessing like an inch strip to write on, cut up a part of a mat, up to you. Okay, these go on top of the borders. So pull the parchment board back out. And this one is going to run kind of along the bottom of our photo here. It's actually pretty good. There we go. And when you go to place your picture, you can always grab your handy dandy multi-purpose tool and lift up the little pieces of the barbed wire here that are on top of this mat. And let's see how this is going to line up for me real quick before I start taping things. That needs to go over. There we go. All right, that's going to work out nicely as well, because I want this staggered again. And I'm putting these maybe just a little bit closer than what I did on the other side. Oh, it's about the same. I'll show you in just a moment. When we have the pages side by side, you'll see it. Piecing these kind of together, going across. And finally, this last one's just going to wind up, actually I may just put it over a little bit as well, but it is going to wind up tucking under part of our triangle. Which is why we left our triangle a little bit loose. Okay, so that is done, and then we need to place our circles, and we have one kind of down a little bit here, and this one is up and behind. So I like having the floral one more on top, so I'm going to remember to not put tape up in this end again, and just add tape to the bottom part of my circle that's going to be stuck down. So I can go ahead and put my picture under, and then you can always just add either a little bit of glue or a little bit of tape runner. This one doesn't need to be stuck over here. And if you want, you can turn this over. Like I said, I really like this floral side of this paper, and I think once the picture's on it, all of it will blend and highlight nicely. Let's grab our stickers. I'm actually going to show you, first of all, our placement of our barbed wire turned out nicely, pretty even. This is both of our pages so far. And our picture, or our sketch that I'm following here. So this was our border maker, or you could have also used one of the laser cut borders as well, if you so choose. There's not anything restricting that. That's why it's a sketch. It's a little bit more flexible. We do have a title circle down here, but I think I'm going to put a sticker, and then you can also, like here was either a photo or a sticker, and I think I might put a sticker back here as well, just to anchor things a bit on our page. And I will see if there's anything else I think we need, but I think with all the borders and with the ruffles, the rough cut from the page itself, there's a lot of interest already on the page. We do want our pictures to be noticeable as well. So here's our wide open places stickers. Oh, look here. We have a circle one that looks like it may be just the right size for this circle. Okay, let's do that. I'm gonna, whoops, come here, circle, work with me. Lift those up because remember I left it unstuck a little bit. Here we go. So I'm kind of offsetting this circle just a little bit, and so I like it. That kind of reiterates some of our colors we have in our layout already. So here's another circle, and it says there is peace and tranquility that can be found in the country. And that's likely very true. I am going to scoot this over just a little. I'm going to go ahead and put this down here. And I'm not going to press too hard on this end because this way I mean, you can use your multi-purpose tool and get it lifted up, but why make things harder on yourself? You don't want to press down too hard. I mean, it will stick a little bit, but you know, let's make things a little bit easier on ourselves. So there we go. I think we're done. Let me find my sketch again. Yeah, we've got our triangles, we've got our borders. There was space here and here for journaling, according to the sketch. Since I did my mats a little bit larger, I'm thinking maybe the journaling is going to fit here or even across the bottom here, and that is fine. I think they turned out lovely. And now it's going to be time to put together our scrap card. I am just going to be doing one layout with these sketches because I also am still doing the project recipe mashup. I will put the details in the box below this video on how to access that, and it is going to have a charge associated with it. But this way you still get to see a 2-page layout with the new collections. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I hope you all are too, and let's get our card made. It's time to put together our scrap cards, and I've pieced together a couple of options here. I'm going to start with this one. Well, actually, I'm going to start with talking about this one. I took out one of our blank cards from our card kit, and I was looking at our leftovers from our cutting all of our circles, and I was thinking it would be kind of cool to put the circle into the center and kind of angle this, breaking it up a little bit like what we did with the masquerade ones, the Let the Good Times Roll. But then I thought, I don't know. Wasn't feeling it as much. And I also pulled out an envelope to see if we could take and decorate our envelope using some of our designer paper. And you could, but it would kind of look funny that way as well. So I'm not really sure what to do with some of the circles this time. And sometimes you just wind up with a few odd scraps. I did cut a 3rd circle from my cardstock. I wanted to use it on a card. I thought it would be nice to repeat something that we saw in our page. But honestly, I'm not feeling those today. I did take, I cut our circle, I cut our designer paper, I cut 2 bases for our cards. One I'm going to use the mustard side on, and one I'm going to use the rust colored leafy side on. And so our standard blank card size to fit in the A2 envelope is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm gonna And I'm going to pull out my ruler so that way I can let you all know roughly what size the pieces are here. But first I'm going to go ahead and put my base down onto my card. And I just took the largest circle with the green blade on the inside to do my circle. And okay, let me put this down first. So this piece came off of our designer paper as well. And it is 2 inches by the 4 1/4 inches because I wanted it to run across our page. It was just leftover. I have this piece left over as well. So I probably just cut those and this one in half from what we had left over on our card. But I just thought it would be nice to run a little strip of the cardstock as well. I just took a little bit off of one of the ends. And it was a 1/2 inch by I don't think it was quite, it's about 4 inches. Because our strip itself that we had left wasn't quite long enough to make the 4 1/4, so I'm just going to center it in a little bit on each end, and it still looks great. Taking my circle, and I'm going to add it to the top of my card here. And I have been looking at my stickers, and I think this skull is kind of fun. It seems to fit right in the middle there perfectly. I'm going to find my foam squares because I know they are on my desk here somewhere. My poor tables. Getting a little bit beat up here. And I wonder if we cut one of these in half, if it'll fit. I think it might. So let me put this down. I'm going to grab my micro tip scissors. I'm going to cut my foam square in half. And there we go, just have that pop off nice and easy. Of course, it's stuck to my finger as usual. Let's see if I can actually get this onto the antler here. Whoops, and of course, got my other finger stuck on there. This one's going to go on the other half of this antler, just so that way the whole sticker winds up popping off of this card a little bit. Can't even see it hardly, depending, I guess, on what angle you're looking at. Pull the backs from my foam squares. And here we go. We're going to center this right on the front of our card. And we are also going to put I'm so tempted to put the love this, but I don't think that's really appropriate for a card. I guess unless you have a friend who wouldn't mind a little bit of a joke, I'm going to put happy trails on here instead. And hang this on here, and maybe this might make a good over-the-hill birthday card for somebody. Or leave me a comment and give me some ideas. Who would you send this card to? I just think it's kind of fun with the steer head on there and the happy trails. And I also want to add a little more pop of color here. I'm going to put a couple of these red flowers on either side. There we go. Our card is done. So first card done with our scraps. It's kind of fun. I don't know. I think it's cute. Just not sure who I would send it to. So leave me a comment. Let me know who you would send it to. Our next card, I took some of our little strips that we get when we punch with the border maker, the chains. We get these really thin strips. I just took my scissors and I cut them down into about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches pieces-ish. I just freehand did it. And I'm gonna go ahead and stick on our base first. Again, the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Just placing this over the top of our blank card base. And now I am going to kind of place this little strip that came off of our designer paper. This is 1/4 inch, and I think it's going to be by the 5 1/2. Yes, and going across, kind of creating almost like a horizon sort of for our card here. And I'm going to do kind of like what I did with our Easter card. I'm going to add a little bit of repositionable tape to each end here, and I'm going to stick down my pieces of mishmashed cut strips, kind of going up like it's a little bit of a wild grass here. There we go. Oops. Get some on this other side as well. I kind of want both sides of the paper showing, because kind of like what I said before, what's the point of having double-sided paper if you don't use both sides? Okay. Trying to make these sides kind of even. There we go. And here's one more for this side. Actually, I need just a little more tape here. There we go. Turn that one a bit. Okay. So kind of just get it stuck a little bit better. And now take off the extra, because we don't want too much of the repositionable tape showing. Whoops, I rubbed off a couple of my pieces. Let's put a little more down just so we can rub it off, I guess. Here we go. And okay. So sometimes it works a little smoother than other times here. I am going to add my border. This is one of the laser cut borders, and it's the fence. And I'm gonna do it so these posts kind of run off the page a bit. So I'm going to take off this end, and I can use it for something else, of course, because why wouldn't I use it for something else later? And there we go. And so my fence is going to kind of help cover up these loose ends of my little pieces of paper. And I think I like, if I can actually pick it up, remember all of our laser cut borders are double-sided. I do like the darker side better with this background. So I'm grabbing my parchment board to work on here, so I can get some of the repositionable tape on here now. Maybe I shouldn't have rubbed off the extra. I could have used it for my fence post here. And if you do, like I said, if you have the punch, go for it and use that on here. But kind of what I want to do now is place a few horses kind of in our little pasture up here. From our stickers. We have several horse stickers, so why not make use of them? Here's even a little tiny one. There we go. I'm going to add some of our other thistle-y looking stuff here. Cotton? I don't know. And maybe we'll grab a couple of stars. We have a couple of more of the orangey rust-colored stars on our sticker sheets. So we'll get those placed down as well. And I want to put the horseshoe, but I don't think it would really fit this one. So we're just going to go with the stars and the horses. And I don't even know. I think maybe our either the Love This or the Country Life maybe. Let's put the Country Life down here. There we go. And that's our second card. Let me know who you would send that one to as well. I think it's just a great all-purpose card. You can send it to whomever you might like. Let me get my horse feet put down here. When I press down on my stickers, I didn't press all the way down. And there we go. So we have our 2 cards made from our scraps. Again, I didn't use the extra. I tried to fit in some of these little top parts up here, but it didn't really look right on this actual card. We do have those two circle cutout pieces left from our scraps, as well as this piece. So not too many scraps left over. Some of this can be cut into strips to be used for other projects. I don't like leaving you all without ideas for the other projects, but they just didn't quite fit on the cards today. Until next time.